Hello everyone, my name is Babak and I will talk about implementing negative net present value business plans. Well, many projects and business plans or proposals they're not pursued because they don't pass the net present value analysis, uh, which causes a loss of other businesses and transactions that could be triggered or enhanced by the negative net present value uh, business proposal if it were to be implemented. Suppose we have a negative net present value business plan, which means that the uh, projected and discounted cost is greater than the projected and discounted revenue. So there will be like a projected and loss. Now suppose this this negative net present value business plan, if we were to implement it, it would affect certain discrete businesses. Well, if we knew those discrete or certain type of businesses that are positively affected by the implementation of the negative net present value business plan, then by performing investing activities on those affected businesses, it is possible to use the revenue for those investing activities to recover the loss for the operating activity. However, the way it works out is that um, if we were to implement the negative net present value business plans, usually many businesses and consumers are affected. And there might be a lot of business transactions which are due to the multiplier effect, and the multiplier effect is boosted by the phenomena of random induced demand for products and services. So as you can see, if we were to implement the negative net present value business plan, it would be difficult to track the businesses that are positively affected, or to track all of the parties or stakeholders that earn revenue and all those transactions, and due to the current state of economy. Also, if you recall, random induced demand for products and services boosts that multiplier effect because of the exposure of purchasers, which includes businesses and consumers, to massive amount of influencing agents. So now how can we recover the business loss for negative net present value business plans if it were to be implemented? Basically, how can we implement those negative NPV business plans? Well, one way to cover the loss in negative net present value business plans or proposals is to use incremental government subsidies in order to recover the loss of these negative net present value business plan. So how does that work out? Well, suppose we have a negative net present value business plan, and if it were to be implemented, that is, if the costs were to be somehow the loss were somehow recovered, and the plan was implemented, many businesses and consumers could benefit financially. and there will be a lot of transactions due to the financial transaction multiplier effect. Now, we have to consider the whole society, or everyone who's involved, all the stakeholders that are involved in that economic system. There will be many parties who could benefit financially just by the implementation of the negative net present value business plan. Now, when we have a lot of transactions, we also have a lot of extra tax revenues that will be collected by the government. For example, like transaction sale taxes. Now, again, as I mentioned, just merely by implementing the negative net present value business plan, it is possible that many businesses will be affected, and there will be a lot of transactions, and there will be a lot of business. There will be also government tax revenue. Now, if the extra tax revenue that is earned by the government due to all of these transactions, financial transactions, overall financial transactions that are caused by just implementing the negative net present value business plan, if all of those tax revenues are sufficient to not only recover the cost of the business plan on the first place, and if there's also some money left after that, then it is feasible for government to cover the cost of the negative net present value business plan. So the point is, it's like government would invest in the form of subsidy in the negative net present value business plan, and after the project gets implemented, the resulting transactions would be such that there will be extra government revenues, which would not only cover the loss of the negative net present value business plan or project, but there will be also some money left for the government. So how could this be possible? Well, this requires artificial intelligence and prescriptive analytics to estimate the total revenues that are earned by businesses and consumers and all the parties involved in the whole economic system due to the implementation of the negative net present value business plan. So if we have a good, fairly optimum way of estimating the effect of implementing the negative net present value business plan on the overall transactions in the society, in the economic system, and if you can estimate fairly well estimate the total all of the financial transactions that are involved, then if you apply the tax rate and other applicable tax rate to the total revenues that are earned because of implementing the business plan, and if the result of after applying the tax rate, if the residual amount, the amount that's earned by the government, is more than the amount that is needed to cover the loss for the business plan, then this will justify the use of government subsidy to implement the business plan, which is implement the negative net present value business plan. Now, the best way, even if all the estimations through artificial intelligence and prescriptive analytics are applied, but still it is better to use incremental government subsidies for these negative net present value business plans. And the way it works out is that after going through this initial qualification, the government subsidy can be paid in incremental format. Like for one period, there'll be some payments made to cover a certain portion of the business plan loss. And after the project, while the project is being implemented, then in another time period, again, the business, the target business revenue and costs will be reevaluated again, discounted and projected for the next time period. And also the artificial intelligence and prescriptive analytics modeling would also be applied in the new conditions to provide another set of estimates for the total revenues that are earned by all the businesses and consumers that are affected. And by having this updated estimation for the effect of the target business on the total transactions in the economic system, and also by having an updated version of the target business new revenues and costs, then for the next time period, the government can provide another incremental payment to the target business. So this way, by using incremental subsidies, the government would most likely spend less money for these sorts of projects, and again, by implementing these negative net present value business plans, many other businesses and consumers will possibly benefit from the implementation of this plan, and it would have a tremendous positive impact on the business transactions and an economy. And also, these sorts of subsidies, if they're carefully planned, the money that is spent by the government through this incremental subsidy plan for the businesses that are negative net present value business plans, for those, the government would have the chance to also make extra revenue for itself, because if you recall, the analysis is such that if the business plan were to be implemented, all of the negative net present value, if it were to be implemented, and when we consider all of the affected business transactions or the extra transactions that are induced because of this implementing this negative net present value business plan, and if you consider the tax that are collected by this overall business transactions, the qualification was that the tax revenue due to the extra tax revenue due to implementation of the business plan should be more than the loss for the negative net present value project. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it.